For over 2,000 years, a colossal secret remained buried beneath the earth. The sealed tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, is not just a resting place, it is a fortress of fear, a death machine, and perhaps the darkest monument in human history. Ancient texts spoke of rivers of mercury, deadly traps, and entire palaces hidden underground. For centuries, no one dared disturb it until now. What has been discovered, however, is far worse than we ever imagined. Why did the emperor build a tomb that seemed more like a weapon than a burial site? And what truths, locked away within, were never meant to be seen by human eyes? The story of Qin Shi Huang, a ruler obsessed with eternity, reveals a darkness beyond conquest. Qin Shi Huang, the man who would become the first emperor of China, lived in an era marked by bloodshed and endless warfare. His rise took place during the Warring States period, a time when rival kingdoms devoured each other in endless cycles of battles and betrayals. When he unified the territory in 221 BC, he not only forged a nation but created a superpower. However, behind his military conquests lay an obsession even darker than conquest itself, the search for immortality. What truly drove the emperor to build such an extravagant and deadly tomb? And what more could be buried alongside his body, waiting to be revealed? We are about to uncover what Qin Shi Huang left behind, and the answers could change everything we know about China's history and the limits of human obsession. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, had an obsession. It wasn't with power or wealth, but with death. A fear so deep and consuming that it shaped his entire life, and even his empire, around it. He wanted to be immortal, not just in memory, but in body and soul. What he didn't know was that his pursuit of eternity would lead him to a darker fate than he ever imagined. When Qin ascended the throne at just 13 years old, he already had a vision for the unification of China. His visionary mind knew no bounds. He standardized the currency, writing, weights, and measures, all to consolidate the empire under his absolute rule. Yet, behind this ruthless leadership, there was something else, a fear of death and the desire to ensure that, even after his passing, no one would ever challenge the power he had built. The construction of his tomb, which began when he was still very young, would become the greatest and most grandiose endeavor ever undertaken by humankind. But it wouldn't be just a place to rest after death, it would be a fortress, a machine for the perpetuation of power. His tomb would be his final victory over mortality, the pinnacle of his reign. At first, it seemed like a colossal task, tens of thousands of workers forced to dig, sculpt, shape, and create a replica of the empire beneath the earth. Enslaved workers, peasants, and prisoners of war, all in the name of creating a secret kingdom. The cost? Countless lives lost. For every stone that fell into the mound, a man fell with it. There was no rest for those who worked, nor for those destined to serve a monarch whose obsession with immortality knew no bounds. The details of the project were as grand as they were terrifying. Underground palaces, rivers of mercury, clay armies, and deadly traps, all planned to ensure that Qin's empire would be eternally protected. But the greatest mystery was yet to come. The liquid poison he had buried wasn't just meant to repel invaders, it was a way to ensure that his dominion would never be forgotten. He wanted everyone who entered that place to feel the fear he cultivated in life. And so, the tomb became a cemetery, not just for stones, but for lost souls. Over 700,000 workers disappeared into the depths of the earth, buried with the emperor's secret. And what remained, in the cold, dark chambers, were the echoes of his paranoia, reverberating for millennia. But Qin's tomb wasn't just a cave of terror, it was a representation of his warped mind. A replica of the cosmos, with starry skies and rivers of mercury, as if he wanted not only to rule the world, but the entire universe. Modern scientists who unearthed the secrets of this tomb, traps, poisonous mercury, and untouched artifacts, encountered a nightmare that was more real than any legend could tell. But the real question is, what does all this reveal about the man who built it? What kind of leader would need not only to rule a nation, but to rule the heavens? Qin Shi Huang's pursuit of immortality wasn't confined to his life, but to an eternal legacy of power, a legacy that could never be threatened, not even by death. He wanted to be remembered not just as the first emperor, but as the emperor of all time. And while the tomb remained intact for millennia, protected by its own poison, we, the modern men, now risk discovering the secrets it holds. But what will happen if this secret is released? Will archaeologists, in trying to unearth history, merely seal their own fate? If you're as surprised as I am, leave a like. Qin Shi Huang's story isn't just about an ancient emperor, it's a warning to all of us. And the most impressive thing is that this story is far from over. The evidence found in the tomb of Qin Shi Huang grew increasingly chilling. Pieces of bronze mechanisms scattered around indicated that crossbows had been set to fire automatically, or weapons linked to other triggering mechanisms, all designed to turn the emperor's tomb into a death trap. If these weapons had worked as intended, the tomb would have been a fortified stronghold, a sudden and swift end for anyone who dared to enter without permission. Accompanied by rivers of mercury, which formed a poisonous moat around the chambers, the tomb appeared as a device built for perpetuation, housing two bodies after the death of Qin. The story paints the darkest aspect of it, the human cost. Skeletons found beneath the terrace of the complex clearly indicated the burial of sacrifices. Some had been buried in ways suggesting they were intentionally buried alive, likely servants and guards forced to accompany their masters into eternity. Others appeared to have fallen upright, suffocated, as the chambers were hermetically sealed. No more rumors remained. The direct proof that Qin extended his cruelty even into the afterlife was right there, carved into the earth. For him, the afterlife was not a release, but a new empire. And he would rule with the same relentless domination with which he had ruled his homeland. But scholars were divided. Some believed the tomb should never have been excavated, arguing that the risk of destroying fragile artifacts, which had survived isolated from oxygen and light, was too great. The top experts also warned of hidden dangers to human health and the environment, with mercury contamination threatening both researchers and the surrounding land. For these scholars, the emperor's final order was clear: seal the tomb, and modern society had no right to go any further. But there was another faction that maintained the tomb's contents were too important to ignore. They argued that revealing these secrets could change history and allow for the rediscovery of lost knowledge about ancient engineering, medicine, and governance. If the terracotta army revolutionized our understanding of the Chinese Empire, what about the wonders still hidden in the central chambers? For them, the risk was worth it, as discoveries of such magnitude only happen once in human history. What is certain is that the tomb of Qin Shi Huang is more than just an archaeological site. It is a message carved in stone, sealed in poison. Power may endure after death, but so does fear, powerful enough to raise monuments more terrifying than any army. Perhaps the emperor's final warning is clear: some secrets should never be discovered. Disturbing them is to risk inheriting the paranoia, cruelty, and danger that built them. What do you think? Was the opening of Qin Shi Huang's tomb the greatest discovery of our era, or a mistake humanity will regret? Share your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more untold stories, and watch the next video on your screen to uncover another hidden truth that will change your view of history.